Today we're taking a close look at the WM229 from Wswatches, a bold NH35 automatic diver that isn't shy about where it draws inspiration from. Yes, the Submariner vibes are clear, but this isn't just another clone. WM spins the iconic Hulk formula into 4 vibrant dial and bezel combos. What immediately makes this watch pop is the dial treatment. Unlike a typical sunburst, these dials are fired enamel, so you get this bold saturated color with a high gloss, almost glossy matte feel, which plays beautifully off the mirror sheen of the ceramic bezels. The contrast is striking, and it's honestly what separates this watch from the sea of lookalikes. So let's get in and talk about it in detail. Now, the link to the listing will be in the description below the video. Do check it out if you're after a sharp price. And now let's dive in and talk about the details. Now onto the specs. We've got a classic 40mm diameter with a case height of 12.4mm or 13.6mm including the cyclops. Lug width is 20mm, tapering nicely to 18mm at the signed clasp. But note the lug-to-lug comes in at 53.2mm thanks to the male end links. So while the case is compact, it wears a little longer. On wrist, it's super comfortable even for my 6.5-inch wrist. The lugs hug just right, and the vertical brushing on both the lug hoods and the bracelet creates a seamless visual flow. Side profile, smooth polished flanks with soft transitions. Classic, clean and wearable. And the crown, semi-guarded, signed with precise notching and a hefty 6.8mm diameter. Solid threading, no wobble, exactly what you'd want for a 200-meter diver. This is the kind of homage that has fun with the format. Familiar silhouette, but the colorways and fired dials give it a fresh pulse. Now let's talk about the bracelet, and there's a lot to like here. We've got a classic 3-link design, and while the links are held together by push pins, not screw pins, honestly, it's not a deal breaker. Of course, screw pins would be a nice premium touch, but for the price point, this works just fine. Tolerance is surprisingly good. Everything feels tight, nothing rattles. Link fluidity is solid, and the articulation is smooth and unhindered, which makes it comfortable on the wrist. You've got consistent vertical brushing across the links, and the outer facets are just slightly rounded, adding a bit of tactility and visual flair. It reflects light really well, without feeling flashy. Very balanced. The clasp is excellent for the price. It's signed, beveled, and fully milled, not pressed. Flipping the watch over, you'll see a screw-down case back. It's unsigned, very plain, almost vanilla. But it gets the job done and keeps that 200 meters of water resistance intact. Let's dive into this bezel, because honestly, it's one of the standout features of the WM229. First off, it's got a wide stance, and that really complements the overall proportions of the watch. You've got these broad lugs, and then right in line with them, this wide, high-polished ceramic bezel insert that just shines. That high gloss finish gives it a really premium feel, slick, clean, and reflective, with just the right amount of visual punch. We've got white printed markings around the perimeter, and of course a lumed pip at 12 o'clock, tucked into an inverted triangle. Pretty classic diver style. The insert itself sits slightly proud of the case. Not dramatically so, but just enough to make rotation easy. And speaking of rotation, the bezel action here is interesting. Now the outer edge has these deep, sharply notched grooves, almost like scoop slivers, and they're actually polished, while the surrounding surface is brushed. That contrast in textures really pops under light. It adds grip, but also creates this nice little shimmer as the bezel catches different angles. Rotation-wise, it's heavy and consistent. Not stiff, but there's definite resistance. Very intentional, very deliberate. You're not spinning this by accident. The clicks are precise, but there is some backplay. Not a huge amount, but it's noticeable. Still, the resistance is strong enough that once you set your timing, it's not going anywhere. And now we're at center stage, the dial and the crystal. Starting right up top, we've got a synthetic sapphire crystal that sits flush with the ceramic bezel. Really clean, really tidy. Over at 3 o'clock, there's a cyclops magnifier. And yes, that's sapphire as well. The magnification is spot on at 2.5x. Now, as your gaze drops through the crystal, it's led straight down into the dial by an inward sloping brushed rehaut. And that's a very intentional detail. We've got applied indices, edged in polished chrome, all fully lumed, and when the lights go down, the glow reflects off that angled rehaut for improved nighttime legibility. The lume is bright blue, long-lasting, and exactly what we've come to expect from WM watches. Just excellent. The WM logo sits just below the 12 o'clock triangle, and above 6 o'clock, you've got some clean printed text noting the automatic movement. The hands are lumed, the seconds hand has a lumed lollipop, and everything just works together cohesively. And driving all of this is the reliable Seiko NH35, a self-winding Japanese automatic. Okay, so you've seen the watch in action. What are your thoughts? Do you agree that this is like a super budget superstar? Or do you think it's a bit of a flop and there were too many shortcuts? I want to know your opinion in the comments below. Now, the link to the listing will also be in the description below the video, so do check it out if you're after a sharp price. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.